This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. Our topic today is IT and oil and gas. And our guest is Randall Hoppe, the U.S. Industry Director of Oil and Gas for Microsoft, providing an interesting perspective on the role of digital trends in the oil field, including big data, the cloud, social, and mobile. All of that right after this.
At BKD, we understand the constantly shifting nature of the energy industry. As a national CPA and advisory firm, we serve energy clients from the beginning to the end of the cycle. Our experienced energy advisors serve approximately 300 energy companies in exploration, midstream, downstream, oilfield services, and power production. Plus, we're the largest North American member of the Praxity Global Alliance, which means we can help you wherever you operate. Contact a BKD advisor or visit us online to learn more.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Maker Show. Our topic now is information technology in oil and gas. And my guest is Randall Hoppe, the Industry Director of Oil and Gas for the U.S. for Microsoft. Randy, welcome to the Energy Maker Show.
Well, thank you, Russ. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Give us an overview of Microsoft's focus on oil and gas.
Good. Microsoft works with many oil and gas customers across the U.S. and across the globe. In fact, just about every oil and gas customer is one of ours. As we work with those customers, the trends that we're seeing about these days tend to focus around one, globalization.
Right.
You look at energy demand and its rapid increase across the globe, especially when you look at India and China as emerging markets. It's increased at a fairly dramatic pace.
Right.
Now, the question is, how do we use technology to help drive solutions for those oil companies as they address that energy growth? Another place, if you bring it back to the U.S., is around shale and shale gas.
Right.
Some time ago, we were in the U.S. considered a mature, often a declining market in the energy sector.
During the energy crisis,
exactly.
Right? Right.
And if you look in some circles, they're even calling us an emerging market as we bring new energy sources online.
Okay.
And very shortly, we'll be in a position we'll be exporting.
Right.
And so all of these are very heady and tremendous business drivers that our customers are facing, in which we, Microsoft, are working with those customers and with partners to bring solutions to help them use technology to answer some of their more difficult problems.
Okay, so at the upper executive levels of Microsoft, I assume they recognize what's happening in the energy space now, that it's a thriving sector and deserves lots of attention?
Oh, most definitely. Some of the other challenges that our customers face are things like the workforce.
Okay.
Microsoft's technologies center around providing productivity tools so that our customers can do more with their business. You look a couple of decades ago, and we heard a lot about the grain workforce.
Right.
Many of our customers were concerned about their employees leaving the business, taking a lot of intellectual property, intellectual knowledge with them, institutional knowledge, and so there were heady concerns there. You fast forward 10, 20 years to where we are today, and we still have the challenge, our customers have the challenge of the grain workforce. I believe roughly over half of the workforce is 50 years or older in the energy sector, and so that is a concern when they are going to retire. But if you look at it on the flip side, our customers are also faced with new hires, and the new hires are coming from both the Gen X and the Gen Y, the millennials, and those different sectors of workers are looking for a different work environment when they come on. And that different work environment, from what we're finding, centers around technology.
Right.
It's how they interact with technology in their business, and it's how they use it to drive value for their organizations. And this often is a reason that one of these young workers may join or not join one of our oil and gas customers as an employee.
Interesting. So if they're not real high tech, they might say, hey, these guys, this is not a place I want to work.
That is exactly the case.
Right.
And we're, in our discussions with both CIOs of oil and gas concerns and also of business executives, we're finding that they're having to address what they provide to their employees for things like collaboration and other technology matters in order to make their firms an attractive place for them to work.
Which, in Microsoft's opinion, is all good because that pulls you into even more of an important role for the companies.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
When we look at these customers' business drivers, we often see a number of technology trends that have been created because of the demands of our customers' business. And right now we're seeing 4 technology trends across the board.
Okay.
One centers around big data and analytics.
Right.
And this is an extremely important challenge in the oil and gas industry, as there's a vast amount of data available to our oil and gas customers from which they can make decisions. When you look at merely about 10 years ago, sensor technology at our oil and gas customers just took off, and the ability to extract vast amounts of data from drilling operations to exploration operations to production just took off. And so now there's vast amounts of data from which to do something. And so what our customers are finding themselves doing now is trying to figure out how do they manage the large amount of data, which in some cases is structured, some cases it's unstructured. And once that problem is figured out, more importantly, how do you make that data into useful information and knowledge to the organization? And what we're finding is that our customers are doing a fairly good job at managing the vast amounts of information, and the next step on that frontier is looking at how do we bring that data to the user, to the individual user, so that they can be more creative, they can use their abilities to look at the data, slice the data, and drive to a business conclusion in order to, say, close the loop in their organization.
That's all real interesting. I mean, there's a lot of talk about big data, and I just didn't know where it showed up in your world, but the sensing technology has kind of gone through the roof lately.
It has, and if you, I mentioned the examples of downhole sensor technology, et cetera. Even when you move into to plants, such as gas processing plants, refineries, and so on, the amount of data collected at those facilities has just skyrocketed astronomically because of the ability to collect more data from the plant floor, whether it be from additional wired sensors or even wireless technologies.
Right.
It's just that the data does not stop.
Right.
And so that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have for our customers, but it's how do you act on that data?
Right.
How do you close that loop?
What particular product or service does Microsoft bring to the customer in that category?
You can look at it from 2 ends. One at what we call our enterprise layer, whereas you go into the back end to the data center, and Microsoft has databases like SQL.
Right.
We also have technologies that sit up in the cloud, which I'll come to at a later time.
Okay.
Whereas data sources can be fed to the cloud, stored in the cloud, managed, and then mashed up with other data sources for useful analysis.
Okay.
If you take it to the other end, to the individual user, Microsoft probably has the number one used reporting and analytical tool on the market.
Talking about Excel?
That's exactly right. It's Microsoft Excel.
Right.
What we've done over the last few years is made Excel and add-ins with Excel more user-friendly so that users can now take the power of a very institutionalized and very powerful analytical tools and bring that down into an environment in which they're comfortable with.
Okay.
So just about every one of our customers I work with are very comfortable in working in Excel. Now imagine that individual having the ability to very easily pull data from data sources within their organizations, whether it be from historians or business systems, quality systems, maintenance systems, bring that data in Excel, mash it up with external data coming from data marts. Perhaps it's weather data, perhaps it's data around consumption and production trends related to their business. Mash it up in Excel and then bring it together in reports so that you can very easily slice and dice that data so that you can arrive at different conclusions to determine how best to run the business.
Right. All right. I've got that picture and it makes sense, sensing and big data. But you mentioned the cloud, and I would assume that might have been a little bit of a difficult move for some of these companies.
About 3 to 5 years ago, there was a big questions our customers had when they were looking at cloud technology. And that question was, should we go into the cloud?
Right.
We fast forward to today and that question has been answered.
Right.
That answer is yes. Over 70% of our customers are in the cloud in one form or another. Really, there's a new question today. And that question is, how do I get further into the cloud?
Wow.
And how quickly can I do that?
Wow.
Our customers are seeing a number of benefits from cloud computing technology. One is on the cost side. It's a lot cheaper to run systems, applications in the cloud, where others who have economies of scale, others like Microsoft, can run those data centers so that it can allow you to do that. So as a customer now, you're in a position of paying for what you use. And so you're not having to stand up data centers. You're not having to make large capital expenses into data centers. You pay for what you use. Another benefit of the cloud is having increased productivity and being able to grow your business more. Now that you have access to resources and systems that drive your business in the cloud, more individuals, more of your employees can get access to that, get access to heavier data loads, and be able to more quickly make decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's about how quickly you can make a decision and have an impact on the business.
All right, and we'll be back with more with Randall Hoppe, the Industry Director of Oil and Gas in the U.S. for Microsoft. And this is the Energy Maker Show, seen at TheEnergyMakers.com.
Welcome to another episode of The Future of Water in Unconventionals, brought to you by IHS and CAP Resources.
Hello, I'm Aaron Horn with CAP Resources.
And I'm Sarah Fletcher with IHS.
Our topic today is technology trends in water management.
Over the next several years, we'll be seeing a greater ratio of produced water to flowback water in the overall amount of wastewater that most places in the United States are dealing with. And this trend is going to raise the overall level of TDS in this wastewater, presenting a new technology challenge for operators and service companies to deal with.
Right, especially as operators look to recycle more of their wastewater, which I think everyone's trying to do economically right now. The two things that have really developed over the last 5 to 7 years has been a salt-tolerant friction reducer that, as the gas plays were surging and people started to recycle water, especially in the Marcellus, people needed a salt-tolerant friction reducer to get their slick water fracs put away. And now as momentum has shifted to oil plays, a salt-tolerant gel is needed. And the major service companies are rising to the challenge there and are in the process right now of evolving different salt-tolerant gels to meet that challenge.
Yes, I think that's right, and that will be a useful tool to operators as they're looking to recycle more water in the future, not only because of economic incentives, but also because of increasing water stress and perhaps regulatory pressure from underground injection.
So we'll continue to see more innovation in this space, and we're excited to be able to cover it. Check back for more on water management and market opportunities.
And for more information on water management strategies and water market opportunities in the continental U.S., go to ihs.com/waterunconventionals. This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Maker Show, continuing on with Randall Hoppe, the Industry Director for Oil and Gas in the United States with Microsoft. Randy, tell us a bit more about the cloud utilization in the space today.
Right. And the cloud it's a very exciting area for Microsoft. And I'd like to give another example or two of how our customers are engaging in the cloud.
Okay.
One of our customers, who's a major oil field service provider here in Houston, does a lot of work around computing fluid dynamics that are used for fluids that are used in downhole drilling operations. Under their traditional business processes and practices, it could take months, if not close to half a year, to run calculations before they could get that information, that data out to the rig sites for proper use.
Okay.
On top of that, to run those calculations, they would have to employ, which means purchase first, some very heady, very expensive compute power for their data centers in order to run these calculations. And after they'd run these calculations, those computers, for the most part, would sit idle. So it's a lot of investment of capital while using it for a short period of time to run the calculations. They came to Microsoft, and we worked with them to provide a solution in the cloud. And basically what the cloud provided them was, one, an almost infinite source of compute power, and two, access to some high-performance computers so that they can run these calculations. They were able to take the process of running calculations from months down to a matter of weeks, and they were able to use the compute power on a pay-as-you-go basis. And so they drastically reduced their spend on this, but more importantly, they reduced the time to get answers in order to deliver a solution to the rig site. And so this is just an example of how customers are embracing the cloud. They're using it to solve business problems, business challenges, and not only reduce costs, but provide tremendous value, tremendous benefit, tremendous dollars to their organizations.
Okay, I can see why they're running to the cloud after
they're excited.
Okay, cool. All right, so what are other trends that you're out there providing solutions for these days?
Another mega trend that Microsoft is seeing is around the social, collaboration space.
Right.
I think we're all familiar with social tools that we may use on our private terms, tools like Facebook, Twitter.
Sure.
And when Microsoft looks at social, it does not mean Facebook or Twitter for the enterprise. Social is about collaboration within Microsoft, and that's how we're working with our customers to provide solutions. And so being able to find the right resource, find them at the right time, find them when they're available so that you can answer questions is really how we're helping our customers.
Okay.
One way, in speaking with the CIO last year on this topic, one of the things that he was very interested in doing is he wanted to bring the well site to the engineers using collaboration tools versus bringing the engineer to the well site.
Okay.
And so being able to get that engineer information that they required through collaborative means, reaching out to other colleagues, reaching out to other data sources was very important. And so using social and collaborative technologies is one way that we were helping them solve that challenge.
What kind of social platform were you actually using in that example?
In that example, there are quite a few social collaborative technologies in our SharePoint product.
Okay.
Also in our Link product. Our Link is our voice and our IM and our video and our web chatting product. But what's really unique about that is that we have a concept called Presence that integrates across the entire Microsoft platform. And so as a social entity, when I log on to the computer, or a customer logs on to the computer, their presence gets indicated. And so their presence could be that they're available. Their presence could be that they're busy, please do not disturb me. Their presence could be that they're away or they're offline. And so across the Microsoft platform, the presence gives an indication if a resource is available or not. And then other technologies like SharePoint and our search engines allow us to search for the resources with the right skill expertise, and even find them in a geographical space so that perhaps we find an expertise that's close in geography so that we can marry up the requester with the person with the information. Other social technologies that quite a number of our oil and gas customers are employing and deploying is Yammer. Yammer is an enterprise social feed within the organization, which allows groups to set up within the Yammer environment and to discuss and exchange information relevant to the topic that they're interested in.
That's pretty cool. So what else? Is there any other trends that
yes,
you guys are
so we've mentioned big data and analytics
Right.
as one megatrend.
Right.
We've mentioned the cloud. And that's really an enabler
Right.
for these megatrends.
Right.
We've mentioned social and collaboration. Right. And the fourth one that we're seeing our customers are taking to us is around devices.
Okay.
Our customers want access to the information that they require on any device at any time across their work and across their life. So if they're in the office and they're on their laptop or their desktop, they typically have access to information. Traditionally, though, if our customers are out in the field and they have a tablet-style device, those tablet-style devices are traditionally consumption devices, whereas information is fed out to the end user, but it's very difficult to really feed back into that device and have other interactions with the device other than consumption and reading. What we have at Microsoft across our device ecosystem is the ability to integrate the user across devices. So if I'm in the office, again, I'll have my laptop or my desktop. If I'm in the field, I can have my pick from any number of devices, tablet-style devices, that have that same working environment on the tablet. So I've essentially moved my entire operation from the desktop, the laptop, into the field using my tablet device. Because at Microsoft we work with so many partners that are delivering great devices to our customers can choose the device that's right for them. If they need a hardened device to go out into the field, a ruggedized device, they have those options. If they need Class 1 Div 2 devices for very hazardous locations, they have those options. If they need devices that mount in trucks, devices that strap to the arm, they have those options. So the user now has access to just about anything and everything they want via the cloud, coming to those devices through that. You take that further into the phone devices, which is really just a smaller form factor, and Microsoft is delivering that same user experience to the phone devices. So you can span across phone to tablet to laptop, and you get the same user experience across all three. And we're finding our customers, when they do have multiple devices, they don't want different experiences. They want the same experience all the time across their device system.
Okay, so do you see that being accepted, or is it just something that you're forecasting is going to be real popular?
No, we're seeing high acceptance of that right now.
Are people using iPads or out in the field to do this application that you're talking about?
What we're finding is that our customers are asking and are expecting applications built on the Microsoft platform to be available across devices. And so you look at applications like Microsoft Excel. We mentioned that earlier. And even other products like Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. Those applications are being requested and are being used on tablets that our customers do own that are not necessarily Microsoft tablets.
But they could use an iPad, but it wouldn't be the same experience. Is that right?
Exactly. Okay. We do understand that our customers are not fully deployed on Microsoft devices, and there are other devices out there, and we do make that option for our customers to have access to Microsoft applications on non-Microsoft devices.
There really does seem to be huge potential for portability, particularly even out on the well site with what's going on and how many things are monitored and the focus on safety and the important data that's showing up all the time. It just seems to be huge that mobiles could play a big part of that.
It is, and if you look at the business problem, the challenge that our customers face when they're out in the field, they traditionally, when I say traditionally, 5-10 years ago, would have been out there with a clipboard. Clipboard, paper, and pen, jotting down details and facts and data that they have out in the field. A very one-way business process. What you have now with the ability to have a full computing platform device in a tablet form out in the field is the ability not only to collect data in the field, but optimize the rounds so that users are going to the right place at the right time when you're out in the field. Instead of visiting every single well site on a round, visit those sites that the data is telling you that there's a problem. And then when you get there, have the ability to go back into the system to enter in what is occurring and get feedback on what corrective actions may be to solve that problem right in the field. Again, at the end of the day, it's time to decision, and the quicker that the user in the field can correct a situation, one, they'll be up and making money, and two, they will likely reduce the chance of having a very costly maintenance event on their hands.
Sounds very productive for sure. So look, I really appreciate you shedding light on information technology in oil and gas. And when you're talking about your customers, you're mainly talking about the big guys, the huge oil and gas companies and oilfield services companies, right?
Well, the examples I've given
Right.
are definitely from the major oil and gas
Right.
companies and oil service companies.
Right.
Microsoft does work with just about every provider, large and small,
Right.
in the oil and gas community, from upstream to midstream and pipelines to downstream.
Right.
So just everyone is a customer, and
Right.
we're happy to work with them.
Great. Randy, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
You bet. That's Randy Hoppe, the Industry Director for Oil and Gas for Microsoft in the U.S. And that wraps up this episode of The Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com.